I am live. Hi, I'm playing swccg for the first time in a while, but that's not entirely why I wanted to stream, so I assume nobody is watching this live on Twitch right now. Everyone I'm talking to is going to be watching the YouTube video. I'm going to be talking about politics rather than about the game I'm playing. The game I'm playing is just going to kind of be on in the background. So if you're someone who doesn't want to hear anything about politics, if you're actively avoiding it, just don't watch this video. Um, I'll re-familiarize myself with the game as I go along, but that's not the primary focus of what I want to be talking about. It's March 17th right now as this video is being recorded. And just yesterday, the news story some of you might have seen, some of you might not have, that I think is I want to talk about, and it's kind of the impetus for why I'm streaming again, and I don't know. Maybe I'll do it more. I want to get it out, but maybe hopefully other people want to hear more perspectives on it. And this is that the administration, U.S. administration, over the past weekend deported an unknown number of what they claim are Trente Aragua gang members, Venezuelan gang that the Trump administration has designated a terrorist organization. Now, we don't actually know how many people were deported. We don't know the identities of the people who were deported. And we have no evidence that these people actually were gang members. They had no trials. There's no hearings. They were put onto a plane secretly, without anyone being told, and flown to El Salvador. It was only after the plane left that people kind of were aware that something weird was going on. And lawyers for the ACLU came to a judge in, I think, DC for a temporary restraining order saying, hey, these people are being deported with no trial. And we shouldn't allow that. We don't know if these people are indeed gang members, if they are immigrants even, if they're documented immigrants, if they're undocumented immigrants. They could, as for all we know, these could be American citizens that have been disappeared. We have absolutely no way of knowing because there was absolutely no process. They were essentially grabbed, put onto a plane, flown to El Salvador, and in El Salvador they've been taken to an extremely inhumane prison there that the El Salvadorian government has built and that we are paying them to house inmates in. It's essentially, the idea is to have prisoners of the American state on non-American soil, where they don't have to be afforded any of the pesky rights that we provide to our citizens, the due process protections. So, I think you can understand what concerns me about this. Actually, no, you might not, because I haven't even gotten to, haven't finished. There was no trial, but it did go to a judge. The judge made the order, as the plane had already left. But this judge said, okay, you can't just be deporting people with no hearing, no trial, nothing. You can't just put people on a plane, fly them to El Salvador, and then that's it. Because of all of the, what if you're wrong? And he said, these flights have to be grounded. Flights in the air need to be returned. These people need to be returned. They need to have a trial. And the administration said, oh, too bad. The planes are already in international waters. International airspace, I guess, in this case. So we're not turning around. They disobeyed the court order. And that is the thing that I have been more concerned about than anything since the Trump administration took office. Because what do you do in a situation where you have an administration that does something unconstitutional, illegal? The court says it's unconstitutional, illegal. You have to do something different. And they say too bad. That's the biggest issue. There's no, what are the consequences? There's none. They can just do whatever they want. And you just extend that. And here's the thing, is that probably a lot of people say, okay, whatever. They're deporting a bunch of gang members. Fuck the gang members. I don't care about the gang members. These pussy courts trying to stop us from protecting the country. And sure, I will concede all of that too. I disagree, but it's not a conversation on immigration. It's even if I would say, yes, we should deport these people, I think we can all agree. Maybe you don't even agree that they should have it. Hopefully everyone agrees that there are bad consequences when you have the most powerful branch of the government able to completely ignore everyone else. And it's specifically the fact that they started with this that is the most concerning thing. Because, yeah, if they went and deported Tom Hanks, sent Tom Hanks to an El Salvadorian prison, everybody would be upset about that. This man is a national treasure. He won back-to-back Oscars. But go, that would be silly. It's a, it's a strategic blunder. Because you don't want to target someone who will draw a lot of sympathy. You want someone who people will be like, oh, okay, you know what? I don't like the method, but am I really that bothered by that? These guys were assholes. I don't really care that much that a bunch of gang members got deported. Like, by. And that's understandable. But that's the valid impulse that these kind of groups, here I'm going to say a word that's controversial, fascist groups, count on happening. There's the poem that probably everyone has heard about Nazi Germany. It goes, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out for I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there is no one left to speak for me. And yeah, it's true. It's a little bit self-serving, but I mean, people should be afraid of it, right? Like, you should speak out for the socialists, the trade unionists, and the Jews because it's wrong when it happens to them. But also recognize that you start with the least popular people. And then once those people are gone, you've got a new group of the least popular people that you can always move to. And you erode popular support. And after all, if we didn't say anything when the socialists got put away, isn't it kind of silly to start complaining now when it's the Jews? Like, we were already okay with it last time, so why make a fuss? That, I'm afraid, is what is happening at this very moment. You just gradually are permitting yourself not to care because it's happening to other people, people for whatever reason are disfavored. And that's kind of what I think this is. Not only are you, well, let's start, okay, let me back up. I'm going to define fascism so that we're all on the same page. Because probably a lot of people hear that and they think fascism is the Nazis. And you immediately turn your brain off. Because, I mean, it's true, yes, fascism is the Nazis. But that's not all it is. And also, there's a little bit of a comfort in that. Because we say, and it's true, which is this kind of somewhat of a problem how true it is. You say Adolf Hitler was the most evil person to have ever lived. True. Complete monster. And there's a little bit of a complacency there. You're like, okay, well, as long as we don't have Hitler again, we're fine. And if you ever compare anyone to Hitler, you say, oh my god, Hitler? You can't compare this to Hitler. Hitler was so much worse. Which, yeah, but Hitler in 1933, when he came to power, wasn't the obviously evil, horrible person that we now know he was. That wasn't, there was no, people in 1933 Germany didn't know what was going to happen over the next 12 years. There's nothing like over his head saying this. But I mean, he wasn't hiding his anti-Semitism. He also didn't say, I am going to kill 6 million Jews. He said, the Jews are destroying the country. We're going to deport them, and so on. The final solution was the final solution. That wasn't the first thing that they did. He came to power democratically. Not all fascists do. Something to be wary of. But yeah, let's get back to defining what fascism is. And it's going to be like maybe a little bit different, my definition, from what a lot of historians use. So to the extent it disagrees, uh, just know that I'm just talking about this, which I consider the core of fascism. And I'm doing this mostly because I want to talk about the Khmer Rouge. I think that the more standard definitions of fascism will also include what we're seeing now. But I think it is valid to also talk about the Khmer Rouge. I think it's instructive. But I'll get to that later. I have not planned this out, as maybe people can tell, but I know that I want to talk about it. Anyway, I think the core of fascism doesn't have to be, or let's say what it is, not what it's not. I think you develop it when you're in a society that has a lot of economic and social problems. And you need to offer a solution to those problems. That solution is not, in actuality, any of the material conditions or forces that people like me would say are the actual cause. Instead, you blame some kind of minority group. And in Hitler's case, you know, Jews, Bolsheviks, trade unionists, homosexuals, transsexuals. In America's case right now, immigrants, Muslims, trans people. Those are the people that you can attack very easily. And you get police pushback in doing that. So, that's where you start. But it never ends there. Because all of the problems that you talk about still remain. For the obvious reason that you weren't solving any of them. Immigrants don't actually hurt the country. Neither do trans people. So you have to find a new scapegoat. And you keep on going on and on as long as you're in power and able to blame someone. Okay, this did get changed. Okay, so yeah, this is where, so yeah, that's, I think, at the core, is you've got a society that's in trouble. Group comes to power by blaming minorities and just increasingly concentrates its power by disempowering those enemies. Constantly makes new enemies of the powerless people, and over again. Now, historians would say that fascism always has nationalism as the major driving myth of the society, because there needs to be you're not just saying what's wrong, but you need to say what's right. There is a group that you're promoting, and that group is related to the national identity. Obviously, that's true. Nazi Germany, Italy, Spain, the very, very famous fascist movements. It's true in America. It's make America great again. Very nationalist idea. And also, people will usually say that it you have say that Germany was once great, America was once great, and it's not now because of XYZ. Make America great again. However, I'm kind of ignoring that because I don't think that's true about Cambodia. And I think even though the Khmer Rouge was not in power for that long, because of how extreme their time in power was, kind of shows us what happens when you let fascism fully run its course. And so, so the idea being that when the Khmer Rouge comes into power, the first couple of years, you look at the victims of the Cambodian genocide, the Vietnamese. Like the Vietnamese population of Cambodia almost entirely wiped out. Muslims, like the Cham is the name of the Muslim minority, and again, almost entirely wiped out. Or I think like half of them, but a lot. Half is a lot. And on and on. But okay, so this is harder to organize my thoughts than I thought it would be while I'm trying to play Star Wars because I keep on. I think I didn't make my point fully on Hitler either, but let's just move past that for now. Anyway, so the premise here is that Cambodia was in a very bad place, obviously. Prior to the Khmer Rouge, they'd had sustained an absolutely vicious American bombing campaign and terrible civil war. And Lon Nol, who was the Cambodian Republic head, was not a great guy either. Had been, massacres. Cambodia was in a bad spot. Khmer Rouge wins Cambodian Civil War, and this could change. Did he always? I thought he stopped doing that for a while. Anyway, yeah, Cambodia's in a bad spot, but I don't think the fascism really started right then. I wouldn't say that's the cause. Instead, it was just the complete terrible administration under the Khmer Rouge. What did they do? They emptied out the cities, tried to have some kind of agrarian communist society, but they had no idea how to do it. And the other thing was that Cambodia never was like food insecure. So they just brought everyone and had everyone essentially growing rice, but they had never had a problem growing rice in the past. So they just, at first, just had a bunch of people unnecessarily in that jobs and started doing it worse than they ever had because they no one was making fertilizer or uh, mechanism like the machinery to no that was a mistake. Anyway, the like machinery for farming or just all kinds of things. Anyway, there needs to be an explanation for why this regime is such a failure. And you start blaming Vietnamese infiltrators. So you go after the Vietnamese. You start blaming the Cham Muslims. Go after them. And you kill them. And nothing changes because you have a fundamental problem with your society. And so you start going after more and more Cambodians. Just people that have glasses. People that, eh, you name it. Just like by the end of it, like in the 4 years that the Viet, or not, that Khmer Rouge were in power, 25% of the population of Cambodia was killed. And you know, it's just that that's why I think you're always creating new enemies, and that's what I think the end point is. That's the thing to be very worried about. That never stops. And that's where we are now. So we're at the very start. We're at the analogy is we're targeting the Vietnamese. We're targeting those people that people will say, okay, yeah, I don't agree with the methods here, but am I really gonna cry about this? Cry about some gang members getting deported? No. Yeah, I will stipulate to you that even if they are gang members, you should care. But that even if you don't care about a gang member, you should care about the implications that it has for everyone because they won't stop there. It's like an onion. Once you peel away Venezuelan gang members and you get Palestinian protesters, you get trans people, gay people, black people, Jews, Italian people, Irish people, left-handed people, Germans. It never ends. There's not like a point at which there's a if you have the in group that is privileged, and they're always going to have to find an increasingly niche group to blame the failures of their state on. And yeah, it will never end. And that's the thing that's concerning about this because what can we do about it? It's not clear that there's much. So, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I want to go back to what I was saying about Hitler. Because it's true that Hitler is a uniquely evil figure. And so we think that it's less of a danger for us. Because as long as we just avoid electing a Hitler or something like that, then we'll be okay. And I don't think that's true. Because not everyone within Nazi Germany was just as evil as Hitler was. There's I guess maybe I'm giving the game away here. Phrase this the other way around. There was a person, his name was Adolf Eichmann. His job was to make sure that he was, the trains ran on time. He was in charge of logistics. And he needed to make sure that the trains got from point A to point B when they needed to in order to carry their cargo where it needed to go when it needed to go. And he was good at his job. And the issue is that the cargo that he was in charge of transporting so efficiently was Jews. And it seemed to people that watched his trial, which happened, he got away after nobody knew how important it was. People who saw the trial thought he wasn't particularly anti-Semitic, that he didn't really care. He wasn't like super motivated by the fact that his job was to exterminate 6 million Jews. He just had a job and he wanted to do that job well. And by all accounts, he did. Um, so that's kind of the issue. That what do you do when the problem isn't, you don't need everyone in the state to be some evil monstrous person. You just need an evil monstrous design and people who are just self-interested enough to want to do whatever they're assigned to do well. And I don't know, I assume probably if people are watching this and are interested in Star Wars and politics enough, that they've watched Andor. I think Andor is very much an excellent fictional depiction of this. Where you don't have Darth Vader blowing up Alderaan and choking the rebel that he's interrogating. Do I not have forever scan my phone? Um, you just have a bunch of people who do their job, and their job is enforcing a fascist regime. It's the concept. It was written. The book. It was actually based on this trial of Adolf Eichmann. The banality of evil is the what people call it, and it's unsettling that someone so evil can be so normal. It means that it could happen anywhere. It does not have to be. You don't have to have that supremely evil society. You just have to have people willing to go along with it. And that's, I think, where we're at now. So it's just, it's easier to enter into the state than I think people are, and people want to contemplate. And it starts when you have these powers that are unchecked, and you just increasingly use to, just peel away all these layers of you. Anyway, I feel like I've been reiterating myself a lot, but that's essentially what I wanted to say, and that I'm very concerned about what's happened here this past weekend and what I think it means for the future. And I just wanted to touch on that aspect of it. I think that was most of what I wanted to say. I thought about this for a few minutes before, like while I was setting up the stream. I think I covered all the ground that I wanted to cover on that particular topic. But this game is still continuing, so I'm kind of. Anyway, I guess centering that back. The question is, what does it matter? What can we do about it? And I have no idea. That's why I am here right now. Because there is nothing that I can do. This is the most I can do, is talk to, I don't know, one person. 0 people probably, because I think I'm the one person. Maybe people will watch this video later. But does that matter? Probably not. But anything else that I could be doing is less than that. Just kind of, this is a situation of screaming into the void because I don't know what else could be done. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I don't know, maybe someone will agree. Maybe you'll have better ideas about what you can do than me. Maybe I'm just, yeah, there's not, I mean, people are doing things. ACLU is silly. This is a story in progress. We will see what Trump administration's response is. The demand is to stop doing these flights, to return the deported people back. It seems unlikely to me that they will do that. And then we need to wonder what happens. It is kind of a constitutional crisis. The idea it shouldn't happen. I mean, it should be the way that it's supposed to go is that Congress enacts a law, President executes that law, and if either Congress or President do something that is illegal, the court says, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to do it differently in X, Y, and Z way." And they say, "Okay, we'll change this thing." And once they've done that, then okay, now it's okay. But that's not the case in this situation. So yeah, I don't know what the follow-up to that is. And yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that if it was they're intentionally demonizing immigrants, and it's also intentional. Like, it was not the deportation and so on happened in secret because they knew that it was illegal, unconstitutional, or at least that it would be challenged, and wanted to avoid that happening. That right there is already a red flag. Like there's so many instances of this where it's we'll do something that we know will immediately be challenged. But will accomplish at least part of our objective in the interim. And by the time someone comes along and says, hey, wait, that's illegal, you can't do that, in at least some sense, it will be too late. We saw that with like US aid. Okay, yeah, sure. They didn't have the authority to cancel funding that Congress has appropriated, but it doesn't matter. We will reinstate the funding, but you know, there's a bunch of people that have been no longer have votes or something along those lines. And it's a lot harder to reconstruct Humpty Dumpty than to break it. And same with firing a bunch of workers. Fire this person, that person. And we've discovered that some of the people we fired were in charge of upholding like our nuclear weapons, maintaining the nuclear stockpile. And probably we don't want that to be unsecure. Hire them back. Or take away Social Security from all these people. And now we've discovered, oh, some of those people weren't actually dead. In fact, people being dead was just a fantasy that we told. But they've already lost. So it's just, you do the thing that's wrong. And afterwards, afterwards you asking forgiveness rather than permission, basically. So you accomplish your goals. I don't know. This is straight away from the topic of fascism. I think that's not necessarily an element. I kind of wanted to just stay on one topic, but slightly disorganized in my head at the moment. Mostly this is just reacting to the news of the day. Anyway, I think that's all I want to talk about politics for. I want to keep doing these. Glad to have talked about it, even though I feel like I could have made more sense. Sorry for anyone who expected anything much more coherent than this. But yeah, let me just talk about the game. I think I'm losing. I'm certainly losing. I don't entirely remember how to play this match, and I think it's different. I know Throne 7 side is a little different. I think I remember I'm supposed to go aggressively in space. I don't know. Anyone who actually stuck around to hear my analysis of the game, thank you for watching. But I think it's basically over here. I do a couple damage, I just draw up, and I concede. Oh, that was the other element I want. Ah, alright, well, it's too late. It doesn't tie it. Alright. I think the thing alright, I'll just leave it with one last note. And that being the antonym to fascism. Let me just, I'm gonna concede this game. I'll talk for a second, and then end this video. I think you have a situation of when you are in a stable society, a democratic society, over the course of time, you're going to have, you're going to give rights to an expanding number of groups of minorities. Doesn't matter, be religious, sexual, racial, left-handed, uh, gender, just whatever you can think of. I think you kind of see like if you imagine it's not a steady, there's going to be ups and downs where sometimes rights will be curtailed back. Sometimes they'll progress more quickly than others, but the general trend line is going to be like in an upward direction. And that's just having a tolerant society. And so you think of it as, I don't think of it as a different battle. Like right now, I would say that prior to the Trump administration, you'd say the social battlefront would be around trans rights. That's where the attacks were coming from. On the Republican side, that's where the pressure is coming from. That's where the cultural pressure is. You've got people that say, okay, well, I get X, Y, and Z, but when it comes to trans people, I don't know. That's a little bit different. Should a trans girl really be playing men's sports, which is the best way that the opposition finds, okay, this is where we can move things. And, but it's just, I see it as the same exact issue. You've got people that want to give an ever inclusive number groups of people rights. And you've got people that say, okay, I get rights for these people, but not for this. This is too far. And what this is just changes with time. So today you have a person that says, okay, I'm for gay marriage. That's fine. I get gay people. But trans people have a mental illness. And we shouldn't really be participating in their delusion. And 10 years ago, that person said, okay, listen, I am totally on board with interracial marriage. But gay marriage? Listen, it's a man and a man. It's completely different. A woman and a woman. They can't have kids. And then you go back. Okay, fine. It's okay. Like, all right, saying black people should have rights to, they can vote. That's fine. They're citizens. But should they be allowed to marry white people? And then, okay, well, I get that we have to allow the Italians to have the same rights. I mean, Italians are white, but blacks are definitely not white. There's a difference. Italians are European. And then you keep on going back. Italians, they don't integrate. They come here. They only speak Italian to each other. They live in Little Italy. They're Catholic. They, who knows what they have allegiance to Rome. And it just, it's the same. My thought is it's the same person. The person that says, oh, listen, if I lived in the 60s, I would be for civil rights. I'm just not for these rights. I'm not for trans rights. And as you pull back those liberties in a fascist state, you just pull them, it's just the opposite order you get them in. Like once it's no longer culturally abhorrent, now that we've dealt with the trans issue. There's no trans military members anymore. now that we've dealt with the immigrants. Find somebody else to demonize, and you don't like gay people anymore. It's the opposite direction. And so that's why I think, I mean, first of all, I just trans people are people. That's the reason why I support trans rights. Because they're just a person like any other person. They have their own struggles, and I want to make their life better. But I also look at it through the lens of this is the way that you're not protecting just trans people. It's everyone. And then, there's something beyond the horizon, which it's hard to know what the next battle is. And yeah, that's, I think, at least in some part, the antidote. But it's proactive rather than reactive, which is a problem when you're in the midst of it. I don't know what the reactive solution is, at least not practically. Anyway, I think that's the last thing I want to say. Hopefully, that made some sense. Hopefully, there's people who enjoyed watching it. I'll probably do more of these.